Last week I made a video and I told you guys to watch Nio stock closely. So did you? Nio's stock rose nearly 10% this past week, which in most cases is actually a full year's worth of return in just 5 trading days. And there were really two main things that happened this past week which contributed to this bull run here in Nio stock. One of these things was something expected. Nio actually unveiled some new cars at the Shanghai Auto Show with some stylish designs, and it got a lot of buzz, got a lot of hype. And they also of course showed their ET7 sedan, which will compete with the Tesla Model 3 and Model S. And honestly, good job, Nio. These actually look like pretty legitimate, stylish vehicles. The second thing that happened this past week, which helped move the stock up, and I think was a pretty big factor here this week, which is something we didn't really see coming, was an analyst upgrade. A 5-star TipRanks analyst came out and reiterated their bullish stance on Nio stock. They have a nearly 50% upside, which is a $60 price target, and the market seemed to really like this. So now that's what happened this past week. That's why Nio was up so nicely this past week. But now we're going into probably one of the most important weeks of the year for Nio stock, so we gotta talk about this. Nio is expected to report their Q1 results on April 29th after the market close, and this will be followed by their conference call at 8 p.m. Eastern that same night. And this earnings report is gonna have a lot of eyes on it. It could honestly be the event that either makes Nio stock or breaks it here in the short term. We could either, break past the resistance levels and start running for all-time highs, or we break past a very strong support level that we've been testing recently and start heading much lower. We'll look at the charts in a bit here, but I do want to talk about a few things that you should be looking out for during this earnings report if you're either considering buying Nio stock soon or you're a current shareholder of Nio stock. And the reason I want to share this with you is because I guarantee you this is what Wall Street is looking at. The analysts, the big funds, they're all looking at these metrics I'm about to share with you, so pay attention. The first thing to keep your eyes peeled for is something business related. It's directly related to Nio. Currently, Nio loses a lot of money, and I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars per quarter. In Q1 of 2020, they saw losses of nearly $250 million. So what Wall Street will be looking for here is to see if this is less than $250 million in this quarter. And if it is, that will be a very good sign because that means we're getting closer and closer to profitability. And in line with this, gross margins and profits will be key. Nio for years, guys, couldn't even pull in a gross profit, but recently, because they've introduced subscription, BaaS, all these kind of things, it's helped them pull positive gross margins in, which has been increasing exponentially in recent quarters. So we'll want to see this trend continue. We want to see another massive rise in their gross profits. If they can pull in a couple $100 million here, this will be a strong sign that signals that this trend that they're on is here to stay, which is bullish. We already know that Nio had a very strong delivery for their cars in the quarter, so there's no question about whether the company is, growing year over year. That's a certainty now. But what we don't know is how much money they made from these cars. We don't know if these cars sold with other options or upgrades or what the average cost was. That's the kind of stuff we'll find out on earnings day. Now, the second thing that Wall Street will be watching out for here, which you should as well, is not really Nio specific. However, it does affect the entire auto industry. Tesla is also directly affected by this, and it's around the chip shortages that we've been seeing recently. This is a short-term issue, guys, and in a few months, a couple quarters from now, we'll probably be well past this. It won't be an issue anymore, but you got to understand that Wall Street is short-term thinking. When these analysts come out with price targets and upgrades, downgrades, they're typically looking like 12 months out at most. It's very rare that analysts are looking like 3 to 5 years out like most of us do. They just want to look at their short-term gains because they got to make sure that they are beating the market time and time again. They are beating their peers time and time again because that's the only way that they're going to get new money flowing into their funds. So their motive is completely different than ours. We're fine building wealth over a long term because we don't really have to beat our peers or beat the market or all this other stuff. We just invest in great businesses and just let it do its thing over time. But anyways, Wall Street is going to watch on this earnings report to see if Nio says anything about, the chip shortages ending, or if it's going to keep affecting them in this next quarter, how long Nio thinks it's going to last. All these kind of things are going to be important. So that's another big catalyst, which again could, move us higher or lower quite significantly in the short term. But now here's the interesting thing, because we don't really have to wait until Thursday when Nio reports to get a bit of clarity on this. On Monday, after market close, Tesla actually reports their earnings, and they're most likely going to be speaking about this as well. They're probably going to give us some clarity on whether they see the chip shortages actually ending, whether they think they're going to ramp up back to max capacity soon. And if Tesla speaks bullish about all of this, it's probably going to be bullish for Nio as well. And if Tesla stock starts rallying on Tuesday, you can bet that Nio is probably going to be doing the same. But likewise, if Tesla says, hey, we see some real bad short-term pain coming, we're not out of the woods yet with this chip shortage, you can bet that most likely analysts are going to use that. The news outlets are going to run with that. It's going to make headlines. It's going to start spreading fear, and that could send us lower, not only in Tesla, but also in Nio. These industries and stocks that are very similar are kind of tied together. When one moves up, it kind of pulls the other one up with it. When one moves down, it kind of pulls the other one down with it. That's just how this game works. And the reason that chip shortages are so important is because when you have less chips, you can make less cars, which means you can sell less cars, which means you make less money. And at the end of the day, we are investing in companies so that they can make more money, they can make more profits, and if that's affected in any way, it affects their valuation. So it's going to be a really big week for EVs, for Tesla, for Nio. I'm excited. I have a position in both of these stocks, and I'm looking forward to some really blowout numbers here from both of them. And I kind of do secretly hope we get some, short-term issues with the chip shortages, because if that's the case, it'll just be another buying opportunity. Sure, we'll have to suffer some more pain until next earnings report, which is like 3 months out, 4 months out. But hey, if you're gonna give me a good deal on the stock price, I'm okay waiting. Anyway, speaking of the stock, let's quickly jump over to the charts here and just touch upon some key support and resistance levels that you need to watch out for this week. All right, guys, so real quick, you can see here that this week was pretty much green, like we said, nearly 10% up this week. We went from a very strong level of support, the 200 moving average, this red line right here, which we've tested 1, 2, 3 times now. And we've come up to a very close resistance level. Now, Nio has a few days until their earnings reports, so we could kind of hover around this, maybe reject this a few times, similar to what we did around here. And then we wait for the catalyst, either Tesla's earnings that moves it or Nio's earnings themselves that moves it. And if it's good news, guys, we're probably going to see this gap up above these moving averages, maybe blast right through it, and then start running back to all-time highs. However, on the flip side, if we see some sort of weakness, some negativity from Tesla, or when Nio reports some negativity around Nio, maybe they missed on gross margins, maybe they lost more money than expected, whatever it is, watch out, because we will come back to test this support level, and this time around we may actually break it if it's heavy volume. These technical indicators, some people believe they're mumbo jumbo, but there is some truth behind it. There are a lot of algos that trade this, a lot of computers behind this, and they use these levels to instill fear, to get great buying points. And we can see, since this level's held off a few times, a lot of people are going to be setting stop losses for like around this level, right? Say like the low 30s. So if we see like a flash crash, heavy volume selling, and it comes down here, it's going to trigger a lot of stop losses. It's going to lead to more and more selling. We could dip quite significantly here, maybe even enter the $20 range, the high 20s. And at that point, the algorithms are going to come in, institutions are going to come in, buy up the stock, and it'll shoot back up. I don't think we're going to see a prolonged period of down in Nio, just because it's such a growing company, such a growing industry. However, guys, just remember, this stock is up massively in the last year. A little bit of sideways movement, a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of weakness here and there, not going to hurt anyone. We're in this game for the long term, like I said, so strap your seatbelts in and enjoy the ride. So guys, again, this is going to be a big week for Nio. It's going to be a big week for Tesla. I know a lot of you watching my channel are invested in one or both of these stocks, so I want to hear in the comments down below, what is your prediction for Nio and Tesla too by the end of this week? Where do you think the stock's going to be at the end of this week? I think it's going to be interesting to kind of read through the comments and see where people see this, and then finally we'll get some clarity on Thursday night, and then Friday, will either be up big or down big. I'm excited. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope this video was valuable. If it was, again, hit the like button and subscribe if you're brand new here. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.